these deaths occurred on Secretary Sebelius's watch.
I am the mother of Steve Rumler, who died of a drug overdose after becoming addicted to the OxyContin that was prescribed to him for his chronic pain. Drug overdoses are now killing more Americans than car crashes. One person dies every 16 minutes in this country of a drug overdose. We are fed up.
I'm here to represent every single person that we lost to opiate. You know, isn't that funny that the day that we gather over here, the government is shut down? It's been shut down for us for the past 10 years or more.
I hear the doctor say, "I'm sorry for your loss. You're going to lose your son today." A night of friends, oxy and pills, left Aaron lifeless, cold and still. He laid in a coma 3.5 weeks, alone, non-responsive, and unreachable sleep. His family gathered, grieved, and cried. None understood, and all wondered why. On day 26, Aaron's destiny changed. He would survive, but not unscathed. Aaron's a quadriplegic who cannot speak. His wheelchair will be his permanent seat. We care for him daily, yet feel very blessed. 10,947 others that year put loved ones to rest. In 2008, another 14,000 plus. When will this end? When is enough enough?
There's not a person, remember this, there's not one congressperson, there's not one senator that's not been affected by legal and illegal drug abuse. Not one of us. So we're on the front line with you. God bless you. Thank each and every one of you. God bless the great country of the United States of America. Thank you all.
Thank you for your stalwartness, and I'd like to say this to so many here, including those who have suffered losses. I look at the pictures and I feel your pain, and I have such respect for those who have come here who have lost loved ones to this prescription drug abuse epidemic, because you know what the scriptures say? It's very easy to curse the darkness. And when you've lost a child or a spouse or a parent, a relative, it's easy to curse the darkness. But it takes great strength and courage and fortitude to light a candle, to take the darkness away so that other people will not suffer as you will always suffer because of the hole in your heart that never heals when you lose a loved one.
We need the FDA to get in step with the CDC, the DEA, and with its own advisory committees. So far, there's no indication that the FDA will do any of this. The FDA has made concessions around the margins, but the FDA has simply not embraced the reality of this epidemic and the need for it to act.
We must take federal action when? Now. We can save lives and families of those who don't need to suffer, and protect families from the suffering, the harmful effects that result from the misuse of opioids. I am so grateful to all of you being here. I'm glad to see that you are fed up. I am too, and we can make a difference. When? Now. Thank you very much for what you're doing.
The experiment of high-dose opioids has failed. After 100,000 deaths, with 100 million Americans suffering from chronic pain, at a cost of over $500 billion, fueling a $8 billion business, it has failed. We are consuming 80% of the opioids in the world because we're special, and this has to stop.
There have been more than 125,000 overdose deaths from painkillers. That figure, 125,000, is greater than the number of Americans that died fighting in Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan combined. In fact, it's more than 2 times as much as the number of people who died in those conflicts combined. But when you hear that figure, you should keep in mind that it's a very large undercount. It doesn't include the many overdose deaths that never get recorded properly. It doesn't include the thousands of suicides by people who feel trapped by the disease of addiction. And it doesn't include the thousands of related deaths other than suicides that are caused by painkillers and opioids. When we think about 125,000, we should also recognize that that's just the overdose deaths, that figure also doesn't include the millions of people who are now struggling with the disease of opioid addiction, a disease which doesn't just affect the individual who has it, it's a disease that affects an entire family, an entire community. During the AIDS epidemic, there was a slogan, "Silence equals death." We're not going to be silent. We're fed up. And if it's necessary, we'll be back here next year with 10 times as many people. Thank you.
This rally is intended to induce urgently needed action because people are dying every day from painkillers. Today we will lose 45 people from prescription opioids. As Dr. Kolodny said, that's a significant undercount. These are regular, average, everyday Americans, okay? Let's shatter the myth.
And one more thing, a message to President Obama. Please finally provide guidance and rules for enforcement of the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, so that we can stop the stigma and discrimination created and perpetuated by the insurance industry and get people treated adequately and appropriately for this catastrophic disease. Thank you.
All right. Secretary Civilian, come on out. Come on out here, Secretary. And why don't you answer us? We're fed up! We're fed up! We're fed up!